Today, Euro USD is on the rise and I have a short bias. So in just a second, I'm going to take a trade to the short side, and yes, it is a live account. Hopefully you can see that there. No messing around with demo profits. This is a real trade. Let's go watch the trade start to finish. Hey traders, welcome back to another live trading video. I'm taking a look at euro dollar here, and I actually just picked up a short position moments ago. And what we're gonna do here is this trade is going to be filmed start to finish, whether it's a win or a loss. I'll be putting it up on YouTube for you guys to hopefully get some value out of. So I am currently sitting with a trade open where I just basically saw some rejection here this morning. This all happened about an hour before I woke up, unfortunately. Otherwise, I probably would have looked to sell up in this area. But I still believe that this has some potential to come down hard. And there's a couple reasons for that, but from a technical analysis perspective, we'll talk about that first. Number one, we are in a very strong downward trend. In fact, if I go ahead and just grab some shapes here, for example, grab this right here, you can see very, very strong downward trend. Now, I talk about this sometimes where now we see a little bit of what we would call a counter trend. So if I actually go ahead and make this blue, we'll make it blue. You know, you've got this little blue counter trend where yes, you are seeing some strength come in, but it's in the context of a major trend to the downside, and then we have the counter trend to the upside. So I am looking, as a trend trader, I am looking to basically short into this counter trend and basically expecting it to fail, especially when we go ahead and combine the fact that not only do we have that major trend on the 4-hour and the daily chart, but we also have strong resistance here where we currently sit. You can see if we look left, we've been rejecting this area pretty aggressively for the last few days. And so as price basically came up into that area, this was my ideal zone for selling. Now, there's a couple other factors that I want to pull up on the screen here just to show you a little bit of what the trade reasoning was for this. So I use this software. This is called the A1 EdgeFinder. It is our proprietary trading software that we use to help us make decisions. And what you'll see here is that we've got an overview of the euro dollar, and there is actually a very strong reading on here for a strong sell bias, which is what directed me to take a look at euro dollar this morning. So score is -6 overall, and we have COT data that's negative. We have interest rate negative, retail sentiment data negative, seasonality negative, and trend negative. Okay. What does all that mean? Well, the overview is, let's go one by one. COT data. We have very strong reporting for the US dollar from the institutional side of things, meaning that institutional traders, bankers, hedge funds, things like that, they're very long on USD. And so that gives me a bias to the short side on this pair because I want to short euro and buy USD. Interest rate divergence. Here's another thing. Comparing the Eurozone versus the United States, this software has basically pulled in data for each and compared them and basically identified that there is a slight bias of 0.5% towards USD. Again, buy dollar, short euro. Okay. Retail sentiment, that's the next component. We know right now that retail traders are 76% long, meaning that the crowd is buying the euro. So for me, if the crowd is buying the euro and the crowd generally loses money, I'm going to look to short. So it's a bias to the short side. None of these by themselves are going to, tell me the whole answer, but component added together, that's where we get the idea behind the edge finder. We find an edge through many metrics. And this software is in version 1 right now. You can get a copy if you would like. There will be a link down below in the description. Seasonality is the next one. Seasonality, what we can do here is we can see down at the bottom of the screen, we've got April. That dotted blue line, this one right here, is telling us that April is a slightly negative month, but not by much. Still giving us a negative reading for the euro dollar. So historically, the month of April is negative for euro dollar. And finally, we have a strong downward trend, which you can see in the price chart here. So barring all of that, that gives me a short bias on the euro dollar. According to multiple factors, we're stacking the odds in our favor. And that's exactly what the idea behind the A1 EdgeFinder is. There will be a link down below in the description if you'd like to get a discounted copy of the A1 EdgeFinder. So check it out down below. So back to the charts here. So again, let's talk about stop loss placement and where we could go with this trade. So from a stop loss placement, my idea here is that, okay, we ran up here and we found some highs and we seemingly have found the high of the day. If that is not the high of the day and we start breaking past that, I am clear as day, I'm out of that trade and I will take a small $400 loss, which sounds like a lot of money, but when you're trading with a little bit larger capital, $400 in this account is nothing crazy. So again, we can just double click the stop loss and see I'm risking $399 here on the trade. So if that comes all the way up and knocks me out, I'll be out for $399. On the flip side, if things come down, we've got two major targets for now. The first target, take profit 1, or not necessarily take profit 1, but let's call it target 1, because if you know my trading, I don't use strict take profits. What I do is I trail stops. My first target, quote unquote, is to see if price can get down to this little structure here. If price does make a move down to that point, I will look to move my stop loss to break even, take my risk off the table. And if we can really get down low, if we can get back down to the swing low there around 1.084, then I'm looking at really racking in some profit, moving this stop loss to break even. That's about a 2-to-1. So let's just measure the move out here. We'll take our short position here. So bam. And so we're risking about 30 pips, by the way. So risking 30 pips, targeting about, at the max here, about 70. So it's just better than a 2-to-1, which is great. So that's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for this potential for euro dollar to roll over in favor of the overall trend. We're risking about $400. So what I'll do now is I'll pause the video, give it a second.
Seconds, minutes, hours.
Well, I guess give it a couple hours, see where we go next with this swing trade. All right, guys, so we've had a nice start to euro dollar here, and you can actually see we did technically hit that initial target. So it is time for me to go ahead and move this stop to break even here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drag that in. And you can see now we are basically going to modify this and lock in about $26 on the trade. So if this thing does decide to go up from here, then I'm just going to take the break-even trade, because ideally what we discussed here, you guys saw the initial idea behind the trade. We had a stop loss placement, basically, if price breaks higher, we're out of there. But now we have rejected off of this level, and ideally we want to see this area hold. We want to start seeing a move towards our sort of next target, which is this move down here. So now what I've done is I've taken that stop loss like I just showed you guys. I moved it to break even, so I can't lose on this trade anymore, which is a great spot to be in. A nice little, for me, it's kind of a mentally, I guess, relaxing thing. It's like, okay, at this point I've taken the trade has been locked in. And so from here, there's no stress. Like I am basically at a situation now where it's like, okay, great. If we can break through there and continue lower, then awesome. And I won't have to sit here and monitor the trade, or, sit here and pull up my MT4 all day long. It's literally in position, and I can just let this thing do its thing. And if it's really a trade that if it's really going to pick up my attention, it's got to start breaking out and making this move lower. Otherwise, if it just makes a move higher, we're just going to stop out, take our $26, and we'll take that as just for our time. So I'm in a good spot with this. I'm going to go ahead and give this some more time, see if we can break through structure and go from there. So I'm actually at my office right now, and there's some CPI news that just came out for the US, which is in a measurement of inflation. And you can actually see the volatility coming here like crazy. So if I actually drop down to the 5-minute chart just for fun, look at how much volatility is coming in on the CPI news here this morning. We were floating around $750 with the news, which was a little bit less optimistic than expected for the US. We did see a pullback on USD, which caused euro dollar to spike to the upside. Now the question is, can we hold a zone? And this is kind of what I wanted to talk about here on the trade that we're doing here. The question is, can we kind of hold this major breakout that we did? And this is kind of this is the double-edged sword, right? Because we were able to break underneath, we held it. Now the question is, can we actually hold it? Because if that level breaks back the other way, it could lead to a break-even trade. So what I'm looking at here is I'm watching this closely here this morning, seeing if this thing can roll over. With all this volatility, I try and keep an eye on the chart, because very quickly it could, in the best case scenario, drop down to our second main target at this yellow line, in which case we'll go ahead and trail that stop to probably around here, right? Lock in some profit on the trade. So we'll see if we can get something out of that. Floating $570. But again, this has been a crazy morning just watching price shoot back and forth on CPI news here in April. All right, guys, so a little time has passed here on the trade. I'm currently floating about $1,100 on the position, and I want to clarify a little bit about what happened earlier, and then we're going to move this stop loss. So this stop loss, it's about time we brought that down and locked in some profit on this thing, which is really exciting. So here's the thing. Earlier, you guys saw the volatility coming in from the CPI news, and man, guys, when I tell you, this thing came right on up to my stop loss, just missed it, and came back down.
You were this close to losing your...
which is a great feeling. If you've ever been in that situation, it's really nice. I've definitely been in situations where price comes up, it tags me out for a stop loss and then drops. So it's nice to not be caught out this time. So my stop loss was at break even. It is time to go ahead and move this thing down. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lock in my stop here. I'm locking in $589 here on the trade, which is a profit floating of 45 pips. So I'm locking in 45 pips right around 1.0863. So I'm going to go ahead and modify that. And there we go. So the trade is locked in at this point. I'm going to make about $600 in the worst case scenario, give or take. So definitely a very good spot to be in with this trade. Now, why did I use this particular spot? Well, if you notice, this area here of support is basically where price did try to rally off of. But then on these candles where we basically broke underneath that, that told me, okay, sellers are in control at this zone now. If things do reverse and they start making a break above that level, then I'll just go ahead and take my profit. And if you watch my trading videos long enough, you're going to start seeing that there is a pretty repetitive pattern to this concept of the way I approach trading. I use price action, I use structure, and I basically look to trail stops on trends. That's what I do over and over and over. There's no magic to it. There's not like a super high win rate magic, strategy that I use. It's just the same old stuff again and again. So trend pulled back, got us in at that entry point that we talked about earlier. We have sat on this thing a little bit. Finally, we're now seeing some follow through, locked in our stop loss in a situation where we can no longer lose on the trade. So if price comes all the way back, if it rallies to the moon, we'll still just make our profit there of 600 bucks, give or take. So good spot to be in here with this trade so far. Now, the next thing I wanted to point out is that we still have some sell trend here. So this is the EdgeFinder that we talked about earlier. So in this trade, I still have a very, very strong sentiment towards the sell side. If we look at everything here, again, still a strong sell signal. COT data favors the US dollar. So everything here has not changed. And, we can start looking at kind of reasonable targets. We've already hit target 1, which is awesome. Target 2, and these are not levels that I take profit at personally. These are just kind of check marks. These are standard deviations from the entry point. So 1.035. So sorry, 1.0835, which if we go back to the chart for a second, did we already hit that? We already hit that. So we already hit take profit 2 or target 2. Final one is 1.075, which is, a good bit of ways, but you never know. If this thing starts swinging down to the downside, that would be an excellent point to really start locking in profits. So, just for reference, that's about right here, give or take. So potential target. So we've hit basically both targets that we had. We had this initial target and we had this initial target. I know I'm zoomed out, so let me zoom in so you can see this. But now we've kind of got to broaden our horizons. We've broken out, we've shown bearish structure, and it looks like this thing wants to try to continue. So as long as it shows bearish structure, we're going to look to try and continue to let this thing run to the downside. So what I'll do, I'll pause the video, give this some more time, and come back soon. All right, guys, so I'm actually going to go ahead and close out of this position. So I'm going to cancel this. Whoops.
What have you done?
I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to close position. There we go. We are all out of the Euro USD short, and make sure I close it on my other account as well. Okay, we are good on both accounts. Yeah, so I went ahead and just closed my Euro USD position. And the reason behind this is that we actually broke the high of today's price action. I just got back to the charts and I just decided, you know what? That looks bullish. We got a big, strong green candle. I'm going to go ahead and close and look for a chance to re-enter at a later point. So I'm happy with my profits. I think we probably hit around between the two accounts, almost $700, about $650 to $700, somewhere in that range. We'll pop up the screenshot so you guys can see how the trade went. But that is going to wrap up the video. If you enjoyed this trading video, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to see my trades in real time, you can always see them inside of our private Discord channel, which you can see right here. This is what it looks like. If you'd like to see the trades, that's where they're at. So with that said, thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure to join the link using or use the promo code in the link down below in the description if you would like to join us, and we'll see you next time. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching today's video. There are more videos available on our channel here and here, so go ahead and click into that for some more free trading content. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you back next time.